I will never be in front in one poll in this race until election night. And then when election night happens and I win, all of a sudden you're going to become the smartest people in the world. And the momentum that New Hampshire will give me will make me the Republican nominee. And I will guarantee you, if I am the Republican nominee, Joe Biden doesn't stand a chance to get reelected.
GOP presidential candidate Chris Christie joins Poppy Harlow on CNN this morning to discuss his candidacy in the upcoming election. News anchor said, "Is Mitt Romney right?" Chris Christie said, "Yeah, look, I don't disagree with Mitt. I think especially given the date that he put on it. I think there will be a lot of narrowing, even before Iowa. I think there will be narrowing that will be created by the debates and people's performances in the debates that starts the end of the month. If you get through the first 4 contests and haven't made real progress and look like the person that's ready to take on whoever the front runner is at the time, whether it's Donald Trump or somebody else, well then it makes sense for you to go home. Look, after I lost in New Hampshire 8 years ago, Poppy, I got out. And I think I wouldn't feel comfortable asking donors for more money or voters for their vote if I didn't see a realistic path to victory. So I don't disagree with Mitt." News anchor said, "You're betting a lot on New Hampshire. That's clear. Looking at the most recent New Hampshire polling, you're behind Trump DeSantis, but also behind Senator Tim Scott at 6%. He's at 8%. And he's got a really high favorability rating, and you're fighting the highest unfavorability rating in the state. Why should people vote for you, Governor, and not just against Trump? Why you?" Chris Christie said, "Well, first off, Poppy, it's every different poll that you look at, we're at 10% in another poll in New Hampshire and ahead of Tim Scott and 2 other ones. So whichever one you use, you're going to see a bit of a different result. But look, the reason is because when we had the problems in this country that we had back in the late 70s, it looks very much like today. Energy crisis, problems overseas that are not being dealt with appropriately, runaway inflation. And what the country did and our party and the Republican Party did was turn to a conservative governor from a blue state named Ronald Reagan who understood how to get things done. The Trump agenda is not worth anything to Republicans if Trump is the one trying to execute it because he's proven he didn't know how to get things done. He didn't know how to build the wall. He didn't repeal to replace Obamacare. Added $6 trillion to the national debt after he said he was going to balance the budget in 4 years. I balanced the budget in New Jersey every year for 8 years and got things done with a Democratic legislature. I think the American people are so down on politics because they look at Washington and see nothing getting done. I know how to do it because I did with a Democratic legislature in New Jersey and preserve the values I agree on." News anchor said, "Inflation has been cooling 12 straight months. Dramatic cooling last month. There has been some improvement there. What about Tim Scott's gaining of momentum, Governor? You worried about that? Are you going to start going after him?" Chris Christie said, "I don't worry about anybody, Poppy, except for the person in front. And if you want to win this primary, you're going to have to prove to Republican primary voters why Donald Trump should not be renominated. He shouldn't be renominated for a whole variety of reasons, but most importantly because he can't beat Joe Biden and already proven that. Look, I like Tim Scott. I think he's a good guy. We have known each other for a decade, and we see eye to eye on a lot of different things. But the point is that I'm someone who had the experience of getting things done at the executive level in government and one of the hardest states to govern in this country." News anchor said, "You clearly think Donald Trump is a danger to this country. Do you think he's more dangerous to this country with a second term than a Joe Biden second term?" Chris Christie said, "Look, I think they're both wrong for the country. By the way, 70% of the country agrees with me, Poppy. They don't want a Trump versus Biden race." News anchor said, "Who is worse?" Chris Christie said, "Poppy, that's like flipping a coin." News anchor said, "They're both bad for our town hall. You're so candid when you're talking about Trump." Chris Christie said, "I did say. I am answering the question, Poppy. I think they're both awful. You're trying to get me to pick between 2 awful alternatives. Here is something I'm completely committed to. I intend to beat both of them.